power is not really about like you having like your own power, but what do you do with the power that you have and how do you help others? This is Vivian Velasquez.
And this is Raul Velasquez.
Welcome to the God, Money, and Purpose podcast.
Welcome to the God, Money, and Purpose podcast. My name is Raul Velasquez, and I'm here with my beautiful queen.
Yes, so happy to be here.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Today is officially your birthday.
And
we wanted to be here to celebrate with you guys Vivian's birthday. So today we have a good topic. We just came out of an event in Vegas. I did a speaking engagement in Vegas last week. We did a power couples training last week, and we wanted to talk today about how is the recession affecting power couples, especially as the market starts to shift, as businessmen start getting pressure. I think it's a good topic for us to kind of walk our audience through what to do in moments of crisis, what to do in when shit hits the fan. So let's get to it. You know, give us some insight of what some of the conversations you're having with some of the women that you're coaching. And I'll send a text to some of the people that follow us too, because again, this is live. So if you want to comment below where you're watching us from, it'd be great to connect.
So happy to be here. And I know that one of the things that we've been doing, and it's really speaking to our hearts, is doing like this power couple training. And I know that you want to talk a little bit about the recession and everything that's coming, but I think, like, you know, in my heart and the conversations that I'm having, it has a lot to do with, you know, just not knowing what your power is in a couple, not knowing what powers that we have individually. And I think that's really what's going to affect the recession when it comes, you know, because when the recessions come, there is such a impact, right? Like there's so much loss, there's so much scarcity, anxiety that happens. And if you don't have your relationship together, if you don't have the right foundation in your relationship, then it faces such a deeper impact when those ththings happen.
Well, there's three type of men that show up in a recession. And I talk about this in my videos all the time. We're actually going to have a leadership summit coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Right.
We're going to go deep into how to take advantage of opportunities. So there's three types of men that show up in a recession. Number one is the man that puts the covers on the top of his head and says, I just want this to go away. Like, this is not happening. I'm going to argue with reality. I'm going to hide. I'm going to, I'm not going to think about the situation that's going, whether it's in my business, in my marriage, and you just ignore it. You ignore it. You don't want to face it. You want to just hide, and you want to put your covers on the top of your head, and you run away. So that's the first man, and usually, you know, when shit hits the fan, those men are exposed because you don't have the skills, you don't have the mindset.
You're not prepared.
And you're not prepared for when shit hits the fan.
Okay.
The second type of man is a man that just freezes. It's like, oh shit, what happened? Like you're frozen by fear, you're frozen by indecision. You don't know whether to go left, you don't know whether to go right, you don't know which way to go, you don't know what to do. And those men usually are the ones who get hurt the most. Why? Because you had the opportunity to do something, but you didn't.
Okay.
You had the opportunity to adapt, adjust, and execute, but you didn't. So I was one of those guys. I was the guy who froze in the last recession. Mm-hmm. In 2009, when shit hit the fan, I froze. So actually, the first pattern that I did was I hid. That was my first reaction. Like, oh shit, this is not happening. I argued with reality. I said, this is not, that's not going to affect me. Like, I'm strong enough to withstand the recession. The reality is that I wasn't, right? But then I froze. I froze by fear. I froze by indecision. I couldn't make a decision of which way to go. And the third type of man is the man that says, fuck this. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to figure it a way. I'm going to find a way. And even though the market and the economy and the news are giving us all the bad news, I'm going to figure out a way because I know there's always an opportunity in the moments of crisis. I had to go through that stage. I had to go through the arguing with reality stage. I had to go to the frozen stage until I get enough pain to say, no, fuck this. I am going to figure shit out. And I think that's what's happening right now with a lot of businessmen is they're facing the reality. And maybe right now they're arguing about, like, is my marriage going to be strong enough? Or is my business going to be strong enough? And I'm here to tell you that unless you face the pain, unless you face the reality, your marriage, your business may not survive the recession. So I mean, let's talk about what's going on right now with Kanye West, for example, right?
Well, before we go to Kanye West, like it just reminds me of something like today for my birthday, I'm like, I'm going to take care of myself and I'm going to like pamper myself, right? It's all about going to be like just taking care of me. And I was sitting in my chiropractor's office, which I love dearly, and he's helped me so much. And when I was there was like 2 or 3 different ladies that came in and we were talking about this, and they were like in this deep, deep pain. And it was something like, it really, like, I was just sitting there and listening to their conversations and thinking like, what you're saying right now, it kind of like resonates. And the reason why I'm telling you the story is because when we are in enough pain so I would say like it was 2 different types of pains. Like I was in pain and I took action and I'm like, hell no, I don't want to feel this pain. And I'm going to continue to go and I'm going to maintain, right? And not to feel that again. And the other type of pain is like the pain that we tolerate until like we cannot walk anymore. Or we just, like, okay, it just stops you in your tracks. So where am I going with this? A lot of the times, like, we get to this place, like, we're in so much pain, yet how do we find the gift in the pain that we're in and the whatever it is that we're feeling at the moment, so we could actually see the gift and do something different? Because there are a lot of relationships that are going to be in pain. But when you get to that part where you say like, well, what is the gift? What is the gift that I'm feeling right now that I am in so much pain that I'm willing to do something different, that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get out of this place where I am? And, not going back too long ago for me, it's like I was in a lot of pain, whether it was in my body or my relationship or myself. I chose to do something different to get out of the pain.
And that's the choice that many people have to make, and they're going to be forced to make in this recession.
So you either like you're going to fight, you're going to flight,
freeze,
or you're going to freeze.
Are you going to do something about the situation?
Right.
Or you're going to ignore it. Last week, I'll give you an example. Last week we went to Vegas. I was doing a speaking engagement. One of my good friends who puts an event together. And he invited me to speak. I haven't seen him in 5 years. Right?
Yeah, that was amazing.
So I was so excited to speak at the event. It's a men's group. It's called Whereever. And if you guys want to check it out, love what he's doing. Gary's one of my good friends, and I love the fact that we come together after a long time, and he could invite me over to speak at his event.
That's right.
And I was excited to actually show off my growth. Right? I'm like, man, I haven't seen this guy in 5 years. He has no idea who I am. He has no idea the power that I've been able to harness in the last 5 years. I'm excited. And so in my mind, I already have all the points.
Show off.
I'm gonna show off. I'm gonna bring in the fire. I'm gonna make sure that these guys know what the edge is, and that was my mindset, right? And I told you, I'm so excited. I'm gonna bring down the house. I'm gonna bring in the fire.
Because you're so good at what you do too.
And then I got to the airport, and I was so like, I'm not feeling too good. I'm not feeling like myself. And then we got to the flight. And I had a fever,
bad.
and I'm like asking
shivering.
asking the. I didn't want to think that I had COVID or anything, so I was like trying to play it cool, but I was hot, I was sweating.
God, that was the worst flight ever. I knew it was really bad when I started to like cry and like I was scared because the flight was so bad.
On top of that, the flight had a lot of turbulence.
Oh my gosh! And you didn't even like turn around and looked at me. You were just like shivering and like. Oh, like, okay, he's really sick if he's not looking at me or protecting me. He's taking care of himself.
I was gone. I was gone. I mean, I was trying to meditate the entire flight.
It was bad.
And we got to the hotel. I just crashed. And the next day, I have an Aura ring that tells me how my sleep patterns are. It tells me how my body's temperature is. And I had 105-degree fever. I'm like, fuck. Right. So I texted Garrett. I said, hey, man, like, I'm going to be late. What time I'm speaking, says, well, don't worry, you're going to speak at the end of the day, so I'll give you some time to kind of rest.
Yeah.
But that morning, I was meditating, like, shit, I was prepared to show off. I was prepared to show off and kind of like show off my skills, right? Show off my skills, be able to serve men. And then in my prayer, the message came through is when you can't show off, just show up. Just show up. Show up, because whenever you show up, God is going to do the work.
Yeah.
God is going to show up for you.
Yeah.
So when I got to the stage, I didn't have any energy, and I didn't have the
You didn't
like,
have the energy that you
that
usually
I
have.
wanted to,
Yeah.
that I needed. But the feel that I got from the guys, even from my team, was like, man, that was one of the best speeches that you gave. That was you brought down the house. Why?
Yeah.
Because I surrender.
It wasn't in your power.
It wasn't my power. It was God's power.
Yeah.
I had to become less so he could become more.
Yes.
I had to let go and trying to show off so he could show up.
Yeah.
I had to be able to let go of what I wanted so I could allow God do what he wanted.
And you know what? And I have to commend you for that, because that morning that I saw how sick you were, and you still got up and you still meditated and you did your thing and you went, and I'm thinking, like, you had all the right to, maybe not all the right, but what a normal person would do is just like to stay in bed and like just take care of yourself, and it's okay. Like you would have been okay, right? If you did that, a normal person, but you're not average. And I love that about you, that you push through and you show so much. I'm like, I was just in awe to watch you. And I always tell you this, and not just because you're my husband, but as a person, like the dedication and the discipline that you have. I'm like, oh my God, like, Lord, thank you for putting Raul in my life, because I see that every single time. I'm like, holy cow, like, I was sick for you. So I was like tired for you. I stayed in bed, and I'm like, holy cow, like, I don't even know where you get that energy from. But yes, the way that you say that, it's like God shows up in our lives so many times that when we let him shine, it's not like who we are, and like we're not beating our own chest, but it's like you were able to show up, and you did a beautiful job.
And I think, and the more I look into it, I'm more I look into it, and more gifts keep coming to me from that event.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't Raul trying to show off. It wasn't Raul trying to be. It was really God put him in a place where I say, hey, I want you to be a testimony for what I've done. I want you to show these people that the moment that you surrender, you could do more than what you could imagine.
I'm going to test you. I'm going to test you and see how you show up. And let me tell you, there's so many times that I see that you go through with that. It's like you pass the test, and some of us fail. A lot of us fail, but I love when you show, this is kind of like, it would have been behind doors, right? But because you had this big event, this big invitation, then you were able to be a testimony for so many. And, hopefully, and I know that you probably did your daily talk, your daily edge.
My daily edge, yeah. You guys, if you're not listening to my daily edge every day, whether I'm sick, when I'm dying, I think even when I was sick with the virus, I was still doing my daily edge. Even if it's my last daily edge.
Oh, please.
This is my last one.
Please.
Just make sure you listen to it. So it's showing up. It's showing up. And I think that one of the big foundations that we have, Vivian and I, in our marriage is putting God, knowing that God has given us the power to be able to figure this out.
Definitely.
That is not about being perfect. We talked about having a mindset of a power couple. It's not about being a perfect couple. It's not even about having influence of money. That's why, the topic that I wanted to talk about was Kanye West today, because it's a perfect example that having money. I mean, the guy's a billionaire. His wife is a billionaire. I mean, all the problems that there's no problems about money. But then again, they couldn't figure shit out to make it work. And now they have all these issues and these challenges. So we have to acknowledge that in this culture that we idolize success in a way that is not healthy. We idolize success when it comes to fame. We idolize success when it comes to money. We idolize success when it comes to maybe influence. But like you said at the Power Couple training, who do we have to look up to as couples? Mm-hmm. What's a power couple that we are around? Where can we learn from? I think a lot of us we need to start really valuing that connection as a couple, because I tell you all the time, as long as you and I are good, like we could figure things out. Business, it becomes easy the moment that we are together and we connect. And we could also overcome challenges in a different way when we are in the same page.
But I don't think people take that in consideration. Like, I don't think couples take that into consideration. And, not to say that you and I have it all together, but I do think that we've worked on this relationship continuously. Like, it's just always cultivating, like it's a conscious cultivating of our connection. And I think that's, you reap your, what you saw. And what you plant and everything comes into fruition, right? So it's like the more that you do that, the more that you see these rewards. And just going back to like Kanye West and like Kim Kardashian, like they could have been such an amazing power couple. Maybe they were for such a long time. And then you lose focus. Because I think a lot of the times, like you kind of let that power overshadow what the soul really wants, right? Like power is not really about like you having like your own power, but what do you do with the power that you have and how do you help others? Because that was part of the training that we did. It's like, and something that always comes through for me is like, once you have this power, once you know who you are, and that's one of the big things too, is like having power is knowing who you are. And for me, especially like, is knowing who God created in you. And once you have that, it's like, how do I help you remember? How do we edify each other in this relationship? And I think a lot of the times that we forget to do that in relationships. And the reason why we're so passionate and the reason why you keep coming back to this is because once you get that together, the rest will follow. Like I was talking to one of the ladies this past week. She was saying like, she's making so much money. She's doing all these things that seem so right in her career. She's a kick-ass type of a woman. She's like those, boss babes out there. But she comes home and she doesn't have the relationship that she's yearning for. And connection. And all I said to her is like, once you get what God puts in your heart to get it together at home, then you could come back. Like you could actually say like, well, what is it that I want at home? Your business will reflect that alignment, that connection, that abundance. And she's already abundant at what she does in her business, but imagine if you could get that together.
It's just the way that I look at it. If you're succeeding in one area, then use the same principles in the other areas.
Yeah. Like how you do anything is how you do everything.
If you're already conquering the business world, if you're already conquering your career, just put the same principles that you use when it comes to relationships. The problem is that we don't do it because we don't have control. Like
I know,
the hardest
because in business it's so easy
the
because
hardest
you're
part is
dealing
relationships.
with like,
I mean, you and I talk about it all the time. Like we are high-paid relationships coaches.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I coach my guys on business, but if they don't have the shit together in a relationship, the business will take a toll.
That's right.
And if the moment that they get the shit together in their relationships, the business becomes an easier game.
Right.
So why is it that we have a hard time in relationships? Because in relationships, it takes two people.
That's right.
In our business, at least we have somewhat of control. In our connection with God, at least we are putting some of the control because we have to initiate it. In our fitness, in our body, we have the control that we have to put in the work. In our relationship, now it's like shit. Now we have to deal with two people dancing.
I know. And you say that like, it takes two people. And I would just add to this, like a lot of the conversations is like, sometimes it doesn't even take the two people because neither of you are putting in the same amount of time, money, and energy that you're putting into your business, to your relationship. So imagine if just one person was putting the time, money, and energy that you're actually want to see in your relationship, then you would see a different result. And then you would kind of like, then the other person becomes curious, like, why are you doing this to the relationship? Maybe let me try to do something too. So even if it's like the one person that is willing to do that for the relationship, almost like starts like a domino effect as to how can you better the relationship? Because I think a lot of the times in relationship, you're waiting for like the two of you to be in it.
Well, that's what I said on the training. And if you guys want to have that training, just comment below in one of the platforms. And I'll have my team put a link for the training that we did. We talked about like, usually when couples introduce each other, it's like, he's my better half or she's my better half. Yeah. And I said, when two half-ass people are trying to make a relationship work, you only get half-ass. You're going to get a half-ass relationship. It's like, how do you build yourself so you're a full version of yourself and she's a full version of herself. And then from that place, then you create a power couple. You create synergy.
I agree. So another thing that I'm thinking back with Kanye and Kim Kardashian is, and this is something that's like in the Bible, right? Like when you get married, you leave your mother and your father and you leave everything behind and you go into like this household, this home, this synergy that you got to create. And don't get me wrong. Like I love the Kardashians. My sister, she says like, I'm a Kardashian and we laugh about it. And I love who they stand for and the empires that they built and who they are as a family and, the woman power. But you can see in each and every one of them, what they forget is to come back and to really edify, love, respect, honor their husband. And how do we make this relationship work? I almost feel like with Kanye and Kim, and the reason why he maybe lost it after the divorce is because he didn't have that support system that he was looking to a wife, to a home.
In the simple way that we'll look at this is, let's just say they're not famous, right? They just say that Kim and Kanye are regular couples,
Okay.
right? And then they have a relationship, and then the guy is moving into the house where the mother lives, right? So now the wife has the sisters and the mother, and everybody's willing.
Wait, no. They all live in separate homes.
But it's like the whole atmosphere is run by
the
them,
women,
right?
by all the women.
Forget about that they're famous or anything. It's just that in itself
Yeah.
is going to cause problems.
She wanted, I guess, to stay closer.
Because the man cannot be
there.
a king in somebody else's kingdom.
That's right.
And when you have such a powerhouse as the mother that is calling all the shots,
The mother and
that
the
is
sisters.
that the mother is making sure that everything. So of course they're gonna have friction because now she's
agree.
running the show.
I
So now if
agree.
you look at all the men in that family, they end up with problems.
Because
one guy
they
ended
had
up
to-
being a woman, another guy ends up being a drug addict. So why is it? It's because it's hard for men to stand up, and I guess in that environment. So I don't know them. I don't know the
they're
situation.
such powerful women.
But that goes to masculine and the feminine energy, the toxic feminine
Right.
and the toxic masculine.
And I agree.
Now I don't know Kanye, but all I know is that it's just looking from the outside, he's just a simple man. Dude, you were in somebody like you were not in your kingdom. Doesn't matter how much money you made, you were not in your kingdom.
And I think like he maybe started to, but then it's like how do you step into that masculine role, into like this, I'm the king of this castle type of energy, and it's like, well, maybe you're not. So of course you're gonna feel like you're less than. Of course you're gonna like start questioning who you are and what you say, and that part to me is sad because we women, we know how to emasculate. I think that's the word to men. And we take that power away, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. But one of the things that I truly do believe that in our marriage, and that's the reason why it works, is because I know who you are in our household.
But it takes that trust, right? It takes trust. It's like, from the beginning, I had that model. Like my mother was the boss in my house. My father
I think your dad was
but my mother was the one calling the shots.
Okay.
Right? So then when I saw that, I thought that was the normal way.
For your mom to call the shots.
Yeah, for a woman to, when you get married, okay,
Yeah.
like the woman calls the shots, and start
Okay.
realizing and starting studying and getting involved more in personal development, realize, no, the man is responsible. Reading the Bible, and it says, you're responsible. It's not your wife. So I always, like when my parents had challenges, my dad always blamed my mother. Because he said, hey, I'm giving you the money. You know what to do with the money. You're calling the shots. So then there's only one leader in the family. So is the wife or the husband, but it cannot be two double-head monster cannot run the household. So having that conversation of who's going to lead, and doesn't mean that you're less and I'm more. It means that somebody has to take on the reins and okay, I got this.
Right.
I have a vision.
And I trust you.
I trust me. And I think going back to Kanye and Kim, both of them were leading. Both of them were competing with each other. So it wasn't going to work from the beginning. Now the guy has mental issues or mental problems that he's saying all this crazy shit. Is that it adds on to the need. And if you start looking at the history, he lost his mother. So there's another feminine energy that he lost, that he's yearning for that.
And I really don't watch a lot of the stuff that happens, but his mental health is just a result of what has happened in the past. So it's like it's the
pattern.
side effect of what caused it, right? It's like the divorce, the mother, the kids, whatever it is, like the business issues, business decisions, the knowing God and not having God or blaming God. And it's like, well, all of a sudden it's like a short circuit in your mind. It's like you can't take it and you start saying all like this BS.
There's no doubt that he's a genius in
no
the way of
support
creation.
system.
I mean, the way music, I'm a fan of his music. My son loves his music. I don't like the shoes because they're not my thing, but I heard that their shoes sell out. But he's an artist. One of the reasons that we wanted to bring attention to this because a lot of times we idolize people who have fame and money, and now we have a true example of like money is not going to solve all your problems.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, money helps. I mean, there's a lot of reasons how people get divorced because of money. I had a conversation with one of my inner circle guys today. He's lost his business. His business went to shit after COVID. But he said, Raul, I have a strong relationship with my queen. and have a strong relationship with my kids, I know I could figure shit out, and I know I'm gonna be able to make it to the other side. Why? Because I have a strong foundation.
Right.
Now, if you lose your business, and if you lose your wife, and if you lose everything, then now it's really hard for you to come back from that.
Right.
But if at least you have a strong foundation, that's what I constantly drill on my man. Continue to build a foundation, not just work on one side, on one avenue, because if one avenue is not working, at least you have the other one. At least you have this. I mean, shit, health is one of those important pillars. Like, if I don't have my health, I don't care how much money I have or how much, impact. I can't buy it.
You could buy it, but
I have resources, but it's not the same. It's not the
right,
same.
It's not the
So
same.
building that foundation in your health, your connection with God, your relationships, the money is only a reflection of you knowing how to play the entire game, not just one game.
I agree.
And what happened to Kanye? Probably he just mastered the money game, mastered the creation game. Then he didn't master the relationship game. And he didn't master even his health game, like his mental health, meditation, taking care of himself, all that stuff. So you could see that a man who could have it all ends up sabotaging himself, his relationships, even his business, because I know that Adidas dropped him. I think he lost a couple of $1 billion because he didn't focus in the whole experience of life. He only focused on one thing. And he said in his music, once I get my money right, nobody could tell me nothing. But now he got his money right, but now
he lost
paying
his
the consequences.
Family. So I think it's a good point too that you made. And like our viewers are our age and probably above, but if we could speak to even like the younger generation.
You talk about young people listen to us, right?
Yeah. The younger, the better.
Boomers. Some makes fun of me all the time. Like, I'm a boomer. But listen, I own that I'm a boomer, right? I like to be a boomer.
That's right. So do I. I'm proud of my
a booming
my
generation.
age.
If you're a boomer, drop right now some comments in there. Be proud to be a boomer, man.
But I think
it's
really good to know that, like, sometimes we compare ourselves to other people out there, especially social media, because we only see like the good things of social media. But there's, the sad truth is that there's so much sadness, so much scarcity, so much uncertainty that we hide sometimes, behind the social media. So wherever you are in your relationship, just, have like that personal check with yourself and say, like, how can I improve this relationship that I'm in right now? Like, what is it that I could do right now to improve this relationship? Just like you would be improving something in your business and asking those questions and feedback and wanting to keep your employees or doing, a better job of communicating with your employees, whatever it is. Like, how do you do that one thing in your relationship? Because that's one of the things that, we're always asking ourselves is like feedback. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? How can I improve in this relationship? And what am I really willing to invest? How much time, money, and energy am I willing to invest into this relationship?
And I think if we get one message across from this podcast, I'll talk to the man. Women want certainty. In moments of recession, they want certainty. They want to know that they're with a man that they could figure shit out. Like, if you could provide that certainty, that clarity with your queen, and let her know, listen, we may be going through a tough time. We might have to just, spend a little bit less, or shit is going to get a little bit, tight around here. Have those conversations, because the moment that you give her certainty that you know what you're going to do, that you may not have all the answers, but you're going to find the answers.
You're going to figure it out.
That's what women want. Women want somebody that says, listen, I'm not afraid to go out there into the fight. I'm not afraid to go into the battlefield. I'm not afraid to lose everything and rebuild. Because that's the certainty that you want from you. That your queen wants to hear from you that said, listen, I'm not afraid to burn shit to the ground and to rebuild as long as you and I are on the same page. Because you're the most important asset that I have in my life. The moment that your woman feels this way, the moment that she feels your energy, that she knows that she has a man that's willing to go and die for her and fight for her, and whatever happens in this recession, you're going to be okay.
That's right.
Like, nothing will last forever. Your pain is not going to last forever. Bad times don't last forever. But good men become great men during times like this. So I hope that you hear this message and join us at the Leadership Summit in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Comment below. We'll give you the training for the power couple. Happy birthday, babe. I love you. I live to love you. And no matter what happens, I know we're going to be okay.
We got this.
Learn it.
Live it. Experience it. Love life.
Love life. If you receive any value from this conversation, comment, subscribe, and share as we continue to impact more people and take them to the next level.
And please send us your comments and questions so we could answer them in the next podcast.
See you in the next episode.